Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to create a layout with you all that you may have already seen. I recently created this page for the Creative Memories blog for International Scrapbook Day, and it features the beautiful International Scrapbook Day products. You can see here it features a really fun border down the side. And I just thought it would be fun to actually film a video tutorial for you all to be able to see how I brought the page together. I will link the relevant blog posts below this video, so if you do want to head to the blog and check it out, you'll also be able to print the step-by-step instructions that I put together for Creative Memories. Now, this page can be created with any Creative Memories collection you like. I'm not going to be working with the International Scrapbook Day products today. I'm actually going to work with the Vivid Melodies collection, and I've got here the butterscotch papers and some of the border stickers and embellishments. This is a single page design. However, if you were to create a page identical, only mirror reverse, that would give you a lovely two-page option. So I just wanted to make mention of that. However, today I will be just creating the single page version that is featured on the blog. So let's get started. Now, to begin with, you're going to need to choose a paper that you really like both sides of. It just makes it easier and conserves paper if you can cut all of these squares from the same paper. So I've selected this beautiful sort of tangerine polka dot paper, and there's a floral on the back. And from this paper, I'm just going to bring in my 12-inch trimmer, and I'm going to trim one strip from it that is 3 inches by 12 inches. We can set this larger piece aside for now. Now, from this 3-inch wide strip, we need to cut 4 squares that are all equally 3 inches by 3 inches. So that's just coming from the one strip of paper. And 3 by 3, that's perfect. Now, from these 4 squares that you've just cut, we now need to cut each of them in half diagonally. I'm going to do 2 at a time just to save all of my cutting. So I'm just going to line them up nice and neatly and line it up to the cutting line on my strip there on the 12-inch trimmer and cut through diagonally. And I'm just going to do the same to the remaining 2 squares. Just line them up nice and neat and cut through in half diagonally. Now, once you've cut all of your squares in half diagonally, we can just set them aside just for now. I just want to make mention, this next step I'm actually going to change a little bit. I'll bring in my printed instructions from the blog, and it says trim a white strip of white solid cardstock to measure 4 inches by 12 inches and then punch down one side with the Citrus Slice Border Maker cartridge. I'm going to alter that step today because I'm not working with the Citrus Slice Border Maker cartridge, and that measurement given works perfectly for the size of that Border Maker cartridge. I'm actually going to work with my Ruffle Trim Border Maker cartridge. This is from my stash. It's no longer available, but it's one of my favorite Border Maker cartridges. You can use any that you like. However, I would probably follow the directions I'm doing now rather than the written instructions in case the sizing is different. So I'm just going to skip what I did there in step 2, and I am still going to bring back in some white cardstock. And I've got my Ruffle Trim Border Maker cartridge as well as my Border Maker system. And I am just going to punch one strip with this Border Maker cartridge. So I'm just going to open up the paper holder there, both arm brackets, and I'll fold that back one back. I can insert my border maker cartridge till it clicks. And I'm just going to punch all the way along my white cardstock. And that's removed that strip. You can see it's really pretty. Okay, so that was my substitute step 2 from the blog instructions. Okay, so I've got my decorative strip and it can also just be set aside for now. Next, you're going to want to trim a scrap piece of paper to measure 3 inches by 12 inches. I had just a random scrap in my stash that I've trimmed down, but it measures 3 inches by 12. I probably wouldn't recommend using cardstock for this strip just because it would make your layout quite bulky. Okay, so I'm going to bring back in my triangles that we cut and I'm going to stick them in a pattern along this 3 inch by 12 inch strip. And I have detailed the pattern in the blog post, but basically you need to decide which pattern goes to which direction. I'm going to start with my floral first, which means I'm then going to add the tangerine half. I'm going to add a little bit more repositionable tape. Now, since I've added my tangerine last, I'm going to add another tangerine triangle. And then I'm going to turn it over so that I've got the floral, like so. Can you guess what pattern comes next? You got it, it's the floral. So we'll add the floral next. That's a little bit off course. I'll straighten that up. It's the beauty of the repositionable tape. There we go. Next, I'm going to add another tangerine. Which leaves us with 2 triangle halves to add to our strip. And I'm just using the exact same pattern. So I've got a tangerine strip, and our last triangle half will be the floral. So with all of those adhered back in place, that is the pattern you want to have on your 3 inch by 12 inch piece of paper. So that's our scrap paper. They're all stuck in place nicely following that pattern. Okay, so once you have your triangles all stuck down in that formation, we can bring back in the 12 inch trimmer. Now this next step is quite important. What you need to do is to trim this strip now into 12 1 inch wide strips. And it's important because you need to position the strips back on your desk exactly in the same formation as what this strip was before you cut it. So I'm going to start here on my left side and cut my first strip at 1 inch wide. And I'm just going to position mine, it's off camera a little, but it's just along the top of my cutting mat. And I'm just going to continue making my way along my strip, cutting my 1 inch wide pieces and just putting them in place for how they should be on my desk. Okay, now final 2 pieces. Okay, so I'll bring these strips back into my cutting mat now, and I've still got them lined up exactly how the formation was before we started cutting them into 1 inch strips. And it's just going to make it easier for this next step. Okay, so it's like so. Next, I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to trim a 3 inch by 12 inch strip from this. Now, if you've gone by, again, by the blog instructions, This strip was actually the 4-inch strip that I cut when I had used the citrus slice border maker. But because I didn't use that, this is why this step is a little different to my written instructions. So again, I'll just set my strip aside, and we've got our scrap piece here. Now, in order to create our decorative little border, we've got all of our strips lined up here in front of us. I've just got them all in groups of 3. So 3 strips, 3 strips, 3 strips, and 3 strips. I'm just going to put a number on each of the strips. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What I want you to do is just replace strip 1 and 3. So swap it around. And you can see what that's doing already. It's changing the formation of that strip of paper on our desk. So for each square, just swap the first and the third strip in front of you, keeping them all lined up like so. And the final one, I'm just swapping the third and the first strip's position. And already on our desk, it's exactly the same as how our decorative border needs to be. So all we need to come in and do is now adhere those strips as they are onto our scrap white cardstock here. So I'm just going to use my repositionable tape, and you can see why this is why I wanted you to use nothing too thick for that scrap piece of paper on the back, because we are adding it to the cardstock. It does make it a little chunkier. But we're just going to go in and position these strips as they are sitting on the desk now to create our border. Okay, and our final piece goes into place like so. And you can see the really pretty border effect that that has created. It's super simple. And then we can line that up nice and straight so that we've just got that delicate little bit of ruffle showing behind the border. So now that that's complete, we can set that to the side, and we're going to need to bring in 2 contrasting designer papers. I'm going to have this lighter paper as my main background, and we're going to trim some strips from this brighter yellow. So just bring back in my trimmer board. And from this brighter paper, I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch by 12 inch strip. Like so. And I'm also going to cut a 3/4 of an inch by 12 inch strip. That's all we need of that paper for now, so I can set it to the side. I'm just going to line up my background paper on my cutting mat, and we're going to adhere these 2 strips to our page. I've got the thinner strip, the 3/4 of an inch wide strip, to that right side there, and I've got the 1.5 inch wide strip here to the left, so we can get them stuck down into place. Okay, so I'm actually going to stick my border here up against my 1.5 inch wide strip. And with my original layout that's featured on the blog, I actually tuck a laser cut border in underneath. Today I think I'm going to use a decorative edge sticker, and I think I'm actually going to go with these beautiful leaves, like so. I'm actually just going to overlap that a little bit, just so we've got just a little bit of those leaves poking out. so. And then I'm going to add this other green leaf sticker, border sticker, over the top of our other strip here on the right. So I'm just going to center that. So with our background all complete, it's now time to talk photos, and I'm using the canary toned cardstock for my layout. You can add as many or as few photos as you like, and you can use any size that you like, but the sizes that I gave in the blog post was one 6x4 photo mat and two 3.5 by 5 photo mats. Now I haven't got my photos printed, but I've cut down some designer paper. You'd have 5.75 by 3.75 for the larger photo mat and 3.25 by 4.75 for the two smaller. But all of those measurements are in the blog post. Okay, so we can get these stuck down into place. So this photo will be horizontal orientation there at the top. And then I've got these other two layered down the page like so. I'm out of tape, so I can change over my repositionable tape cartridge. Always happens when I'm filming. I've got one there to the side, and I'm going to layer that one here as well. Okay, so I went through my Vivid Melodies embellishment packs in the yellow tone, and I've picked out some pretty flowers. I also went through the green pack and just picked out some of the nice leaves that are featured there. I've got myself a title. So we can begin placing these around my page. I was thinking if I layer some of those flowers with my large title, and then I can add some of these leaves in behind as well. So you are my sunshine. It's a lot of yellow on this page, but I think it's all balanced really nicely. Layer a few here. With our embellishments in place, that completes our page for today. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing me create this layout, and perhaps you give it a try for yourselves. If you like my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because it really does help support my creative channel. Enjoy creating, my friends, and I will see you very soon. Bye.